Do attractive people have an unfair advantage? If you missed the recent TV debut, I was featured on the project speaking about the halo effect. Now, if you've ever met someone and thought they were attractive, did you automatically conclude that they were smart, kind, or funny? If so, maybe you have fallen victim to the psychological phenomenon called the halo effect. Welcome to the What's Eating You podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, and I'm a psychologist, published author, and public speaker here to educate and validate. Enjoy the show. In today's episode on the What is Eating You podcast, I'm going to unpack what the halo effect actually is, how you can prevent falling victim to this, and how to attract what you want or be perceived as more attractive, even if you don't think you are attractive. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie Giorgio, and I am a clinical psychologist and host of this podcast. I'm very excited to be here today because I had an incredible week last week. I feel very lucky and blessed that I got the opportunity to be on the project. If you're not from Australia, the project is a very popular TV segment where they deliver news in a different and fun kind of way. And to be honest, I was not prepared for this. I was sitting at home, pretty sure I was in my comfy clothes, just chilling, and I got an email from the project saying, we're looking for a psychologist to speak on this topic, but the turnaround time is going to be quite quick. We need to do this within 2 hours. So of course, I jumped on the opportunity. I got myself together, and within 2 hours, a camera crew were at my house filming the segment. If you haven't watched it, I'll link it below. It's only a short segment, about 4 minutes long, so you can have a look at it. But yeah, it was really, really cool to be on TV, but I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for you. If it wasn't for TikTok, which is how they found me, I wouldn't have all these cool opportunities. So I want to extend a thank you for liking my content, commenting, making suggestions on what you want to see, because this honestly really is the reason that I'm here. So a thank you to you, the person listening to this. So let's get into the meat of today. What is the halo effect? The halo effect, also known as the physical appearance bias, it's a type of stereotype or a cognitive bias, which means an error in our thinking in which our overall impression of a person influences how we think and feel about their character. So in other words, what is beautiful is also good. What that means is if we think someone is attractive, we're more likely to attribute other positive qualities to that person as well with no evidence. So for example, say you went to buy coffee at Starbucks and you thought the barista was attractive. You might also think they were smart or kind or generous without knowing much else about them. A great example of the halo effect in action is our overall impression of celebrities. So people perceive celebrities usually as attractive and successful and often likable. So people just assume that they are intelligent, kind, and funny, and really surprised if they get caught drink driving or doing something wrong. And then we also tend to trust them more. So for example, I think one of the Kardashians or one of the Jenners, to be honest, I don't follow them, brought out sleeping supplements. It might have been Kylie Jenner. And obviously she is very attractive to many people. So people may also be likely to assign her to being very intelligent and being able to bring out these sleep supplements and not really questioning anything. And this is how the halo effect also works in marketing, which I'll go into in a moment. So we know that physical appearance is often a major part of the halo effect. People who are considered attractive tend to be rated higher on other positive traits as well. Now, it's not just about attractiveness. It can affect our perceptions on other traits as well. Where did it come from? Where did it originate? The halo effect has been around for a long time, since 1920. Wow. And it first came about by psychologist Edward Thorndike in an experiment where he asked commanding officers in the military to evaluate a variety of qualities in their subordinate soldiers. These characteristics included rating their subordinates on things such as leadership, physical appearance, intelligence, loyalty, and dependability. Thorndike's goal was to determine how ratings of one quality bled over to assessments of other characteristics. And what he found was that high ratings of a particular quality correlated to high ratings of other characteristics, while negative ratings of a specific quality also led to lower ratings of other characteristics. So essentially, if someone rated their subordinate as being tall and strong, they're more likely to rate them as being intelligent and loyal and dependable. There are other studies that have examined the halo effect, and what they've found is that we rate people as having positive personality traits if we also rate them as good looking, and then we also rate them as more intelligent. And what I spoke about on the project was a little bit about the courtroom, because one study found that jurors were less likely to believe that attractive people were guilty of criminal behavior, or that attractive people are less likely to get a sentence because maybe they are assumed to be more intelligent as well. I'm just thinking of a personal experience I know with a particular woman who is very, very attractive and looks very successful on the inside, but has had a long history of substance use and addiction, and actually did face the courtroom and got let off and was encouraged to go do rehab and help herself. And I'm just wondering if she had looked different, or if it was, say, a male that looked aggressive, would the sentencing have been different, especially when it comes to substance use? Interesting to observe that. Other settings that we see the halo effect include educational settings. For example, teachers have been found to interact with students differently based on perceptions of attractiveness. Older research, for example, found that teachers had better expectations of kids that they rated as being more attractive. Experts suggest that the halo effect is one of the most common biases affecting performance appraisals and reviews. So this also affects the workplace. And a cognitive bias is just a type of error in your thinking. So for example, there's 10 really common ones: jumping to conclusions, assuming the worst, predicting the future, mind reading other people. And I teach people about these cognitive biases in all of my programs, in Reset Your Mindset in 30 Days, in Unchain Your Brain, in Food Freedom. And it's really important to become aware of these, because if you're not aware of cognitive biases, it really affects how you feel about yourself, and then that affects your behavior. So for example, a cognitive bias is all or nothing thinking. So either I've eaten really good today, I've eaten really bad today. That's not actually true or accurate, but it affects the way you feel, and then that's going to affect the way you eat. So it's important to identify and understand these cognitive biases, because if you don't get on top of them, you'll never try to change the behavior you are trying to change. Back to the halo effect in the workplace. They found that supervisors may rate subordinates based on the perception of a single characteristic rather than their whole performance and contribution. So for example, a worker's enthusiasm or positive attitude may overshadow their knowledge or skill, causing co-workers to rate them more highly than their actual performance justifies. They've also found the halo effect can have an impact on your income. A study published in the Journal of Economic Psychology found that on average, attractive food servers, obviously in the hospitality industry, earned approximately $1,200 more per year in tips than their unattractive counterpart. And just the final one is in marketing. Marketers take advantage of the halo effect to sell products and services. So when a celebrity spokesperson endorses a particular item, our positive evaluation of that individual can spread to our perception of the product itself. We just assume that someone we like is going to bring out an amazing product, or the product is going to be amazing because of that. But can the halo effect go bad? Is there something called the reverse halo effect? Yes, there is, and it's called the horn effect, which is funny because the halo represents in religious and spiritual art the angel, and that no wrong can be done, and it signifies this kind of purity and being perfect. And a horn is like a sharp horn. So the horn effect is the opposite. Is basically if job applicants feel, or a prospective employer thinks that an applicant is unattractive, they might assume that they're not appropriate for the role. So this is, as the name implies, the reverse halo effect occurs when a person judges another negatively based on only one known characteristic. So for example, maybe someone was late for a job interview, and based on that, they've judged that they're not qualified for the job. That single trait colors all the other expectations that that person has of that person, and this is what the reverse halo is about. So for example, they might assume that someone who's unattractive is also unkind. And also, on the flip side, they've actually found that whilst attractive, people might also be rated as being more likable and skilled. They're also rated as more likely to be vain and dishonest. So for example, the horn effect can take place when you see someone overweight. You might just assume they are lazy. You're probably thinking by this stage, why do we do this? Why does our brain do the halo effect? And the truth is, every moment of the day, your brain is bombarded with so much information competing for its attention. In this day and age, we are constantly stimulated, bombarded, overloaded. And to function effectively with so much going on, your brain takes mental shortcuts. These are known as heuristics. In the case of the halo effect, we will, in unspoken information about others, jump to conclusions in our mind. So for example, our brain takes shortcuts on how to behave socially. So if we see someone crying, our brain will assume they're unhappy and will try to offer comfort. Now, quick judgments like this can benefit social interactions, but they can lead to errors that can affect your daily life and relationship. Now on to part 2. You're probably thinking, what do I do if I'm not attractive or I don't think that I am? There are things you can do to improve the way people perceive you. So let's get into some psychology that's a bit different today. And here are about 4 things you can try. Number 1, be altruistic. So altruistic basically means helping people for the good of your soul. You're not really looking to get a gain out of it. You're not really looking to get praise out of it. It's just a genuine interest. You help others with no thought for yourself. And this has been shown to be more attractive than good looks when it comes to those looking for a long-term relationship. A study found that average-looking men who gave money to a homeless person were deemed more attractive to women than better-looking men who walked straight past. This wasn't the case for women looking for short-term flings, though. So I guess it really depends on what you're looking for. But at the end of the day, being altruistic and helping others really is something that can drive attraction up. I agree with that. Something I really noticed in my partner, which I really admire in him, is he always helps other people. So if we're walking, he sees a lady struggling with her bags or someone struggling to open the door, he'll always help them. He'll wish them a good day. He'll be the first to just check if someone falls in the street. He'll go across and help them. And I just think that's so sweet and cute. And it just makes me think he's more attractive. All right, number 2. The next way you can boost your attractiveness is to smile. This is the most underrated strategy ever. People who smile just have something going for them. And this is whilst you maintain eye contact. So it's no secret. We know maintaining eye contact is effective, but according to scientific research, it actually makes you more attractive as well. So if you want to boost your appeal, look simply in the eye at people and smile at them. And it might feel awkward at first, but the more you do it, the more confident you can become. The longer you can hold a gaze, the more confident you can become. So start practicing this, start looking at people and just smile. People who smile are deemed to be more happier, deemed to be considered more trustworthy. So don't be afraid to smile. This one was interesting. Number 3, nod your head. People appear up to 40% more attractive to others by simply just nodding their head. In fact, a study found that doing so makes someone seem more approachable and likable and thus more attractive. I think this is because it makes people feel listened to and heard. When you nod, it's a sign that you are listening to people, that you're taking everything in, you're not interrupting them, that you're just being present. And that's a skill not a lot of people have. So nod your head the next time you're in a conversation if you want to up that attractiveness. And the final one is related to body language. I speak about body language a lot, maybe not enough on this podcast, but it makes such a big difference. If you stand with your legs crossed, your arms crossed, your face crossed, people are going to assume you're cross. So what you want to do is adopt an expansive posture. They found that expansive posture can make people seem more attractive. This means having your arms and your legs facing outwards rather than crossing or folding them. The idea is that expansive postures signal openness and dominance, which are often seen as attractive. Now, you do need to take this in clusters though. You can't just say, oh my God, they've got their arms crossed so they're angry at me. When you're analyzing someone's body language and behavior, you do need to consider what is their baseline body language and behavior. What is the context of the situation? If they're freezing in an auditorium and they're crossing their arms and legs because they're cold, then that's probably more context specific and not about who they are as a person. But either way, your body language says so much about you. It's 70% of the way we communicate. So I always embrace this. Am I walking to a room looking down at my phone with my shoulders hunched over? When you walk into a room, you walk in and you scan the room. You have your shoulders back, you look around the room, don't look at your phone, and be fully present. Same thing when you walk into the gym, say hello to people, have your chin up. I want you to do a little bit of a not body image, I want you to do a body language audit right now. How do you carry yourself? How do you walk to places? How do you present in social situations? This is something I've really worked on the years. Even when I stand with my posture. Research has shown even when you're feeling low confidence, just doing a Superman pose with your hands on your hips and your chest pushed out boosts your confidence and makes you feel good. So remember, body language is so much more, and you can use this on a day-to-day basis. Act the way you want to become. You want to be more confident? Stand like a confident person would stand. Walk into the room like a confident person would. Act like an attractive person would act. In summary, you want to try to put all these things together. Nod, open posture, smile, eye contact. These little things, no matter how you look, is going to increase someone's perception of how attractive you are. Give it a go and let me know how it works out for you. I definitely can relate to this because even when I was, quote unquote, I guess at my lowest confidence, I embraced these principles when I used to go out on dates. And it does work because if you're confident in who you are and yourself, despite how you look, then people are going to feel that energy. In summary, just remember this though. Attractiveness is in the eye of the beholder. So just because you don't think you're attractive, it doesn't mean that you're not attractive to others. It is a subjective term, and what people find attractive is going to vary. So you don't need to look like a Victoria's Secret model. You don't need to be skinnier. You don't need to be taller. You don't need to have darker skin. It's about owning who you are and carrying that confidence with you. There are things you can do to build rapport quickly that have nothing to do with how you look, as mentioned above. So try using these in your body language. Try smiling and try listening and nodding without interrupting. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, just scroll up and tap the stars above this episode and leave a rating. I would love to know what you think about the halo effect and if you've noticed it in your workplace, in your personal life, or if you've implemented some of the skills and strategies I spoke about today and they worked. Please let me know. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have the best week and take good care. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I am truly grateful for you being here. If you got something out of today's show, please take a moment to leave a rating or review. To access more resources or support, check out the show notes below. See you next time.